Thanks for sitting down. I really do appreciate it. So I know you don't have a lot of time, so I'll just we'll jump right in.
Okay, good.
We had a couple polls we went over on the show, on our show, IRL. Young people, surprisingly, immigration is a top issue for them now. I was talking to a young guy, he's 26. He says he's watching what's going on in New York. He owns a business. He can't afford to buy his own house. He struggles to be able to support a family. And I know that you've said that there's going to be the largest deportation effort in your next term. How do we do it?
So, Tim Pool managed to pull off something I haven't seen many political right-wing talking heads be able to pull off or attempt to do, which is get Donald Trump on his show. And Donald Trump actually said a couple of things that I think is really, really smart for his campaign, and some things that I was kind of waiting to hear him say, and maybe other people who was rooting for Donald Trump but was kind of hoping that he learned from his mistakes, the mistakes he made from the last 4 years, or the last time he was president of the United States. I'm aware that he's been found guilty, and I don't know what that exactly means yet, or if he's going to serve jail time. So I don't know if Donald Trump is going to be able to still run for presidency. But if he does, I think he did a couple of smart things on that Tim Pool RIL show. It was a quick segment, but I think Tim Pool got some really important points down. Of course, they hit on the immigration, the mass migration, the massive influx of immigrants coming from not just South America, but from Africa and China, and just taking up space and in draining resources America simply does not have, and should be going to actual Americans who are struggling right now. I've made a video about how New York is being devastated by the mass migration. There's just no room. And so I think it was smart to talk about that, because I think that's, up there on people's concerns. I don't think it's the number one concern. I think it loops into people's number one concern, because I think everyone's number one concern is always economics, the economy, whether it's the economy, how much money you're making, how much money you're spending, inflation, the cost of living, the cost of food, cost of gas, stuff like that, taxes. But if we are draining our resources to give it to the mass migration of who's coming into America, that is a part that's adjacent to the economy, right? It's adjacent to the money, people paying their taxes to help people who aren't American citizens. And again, we are very pro-immigration, but we're pro-legal immigration, or at least not on the massive level it is today. Immigrants getting credit cards to spend, and money, and free housing, and free food, and free clothes, and free bus fare, and free medicine, that were people who are actually struggling needs that. So anyway, I think it was a really good thing that Donald Trump hit on that.
So millions and millions of people are coming into our country, and it's not necessarily exactly what we want or had in mind. They have open borders where people just flow in, and we have to get them out. No country can sustain what we're going through. I believe the number is 15, 16 million, could even be 17 million people right now. That's bigger than almost all of our states. It's an invasion into our country, and no country can handle this. So we're going to have them taken out. Local police, we're going to work very closely with the local police, and it's been done before. We had Dwight Eisenhower, believe it or not, did the biggest deportation. He pretty much stopped it. Strange that we mentioned Eisenhower, because you don't think of him that way, but he did a massive deportation where people were pouring in.
But the two things I actually think was really smart was Donald Trump admitted that he didn't have the best people around him during his presidency. And I'm glad. I was waiting to hear him say that. And maybe he has said it in some of his rallies. I haven't been following all his rallies or all his interviews, so maybe he has said it. But I haven't heard it. It was the first time I heard it, and I was really glad he said it, because you want to know he learned from his mistakes so he doesn't make the same mistakes again. Because Donald Trump, his first run for the office, one of his major things he kept saying is, I'm going to drain a swamp, I'm going to drain a swamp, I'm going to drain a swamp. And then it kind of seemed like he was just surrounded by the swamp, and he was surrounded by people that didn't have his best interest, they didn't have our best interests, that were just crony, corporate, career politicians. And so I'm glad that Donald Trump kind of owned that. He owned that he didn't have the best people around him, because he was, in a way, naive and inexperienced. He was a new kid on the block. He didn't know everyone in Washington, and now he's saying, look, I'm more educated now, I'm more aware, I have more information, I've been around now, I know who's in Washington, I know who to surround myself with, I won't make the same mistake I did last time. I think that was a really, really smart point to hit, because it was something I had been waiting to hear him say.
Are we going to get some good personnel in as Attorney General, Deputy Attorney General, and in the CIA, and see some prosecutions?
So we had some great people, because our trade numbers were fantastic. The jobs we did on trade, the jobs we did, frankly, in the military underneath the terrible television generals who were absolutely terrible, but we have incredible people. You know, we defeated ISIS, and we had no new wars because they were concerned with us. I had no wars at all. I finished off a war that we were in for 20 years, but we had no wars. And we have to get the right people. It's all about the people. So when I first came here, I was only in Washington 17 times in my life. All of a sudden, I'm president. And I really knew nobody. I relied on people. Some were good, some were rhinos, some gave us some bad advice. And generally speaking, we had very good people. But we had some that we have to do better. Attorney General, we have to get a great Attorney General. So we will work with a lot of people to get the right people in. The difference is I now know sort of everybody.
Yeah.
And I'm not having to be relying on people that I didn't know very well and listen to their recommendations. And I think we're going to have phenomenal people. I know the people. I know the good ones, the bad ones, the weak ones, the strong ones. I think we're going to have great people.
The other thing I think was really smart is that he welcomed the libertarians. He welcomed the libertarians. He spoke to the libertarians who often feel quite ignored around election time. I'm aware, whether it was that day or another day or is coming up, that Donald Trump will speak at like a libertarian conference or convention or something like that. And I think that was genius because, like, again, libertarians usually feel a little bit left out, or they feel maybe forced to just vote for the two parties or vote for a candidate they know is not going to get the numbers because everyone ignores the libertarian candidates. And so I think that was really smart because I think even independents may somehow tie in with libertarians. So I think it was really smart to say, hey, I welcome you. I see you. I hear you. He said he thinks the libertarian is a party of common sense, including Republicans or conservatives. I personally think unless you're like one of those anarchy, no rules, just free for all sort of type of libertarians. But if you are a common sense moderate libertarian, I actually think those libertarians actually I know people are going to get mad at me for saying this, but have a bit more common sense than conservatives and Republicans and, of course, liberals or progressives, because I think libertarians are less likely to allow their indoctrination or their ideology or their religion or their own little personal beliefs to hinder the policy they vote for. I mean, unless it's like the ideology of being a libertarian. I personally feel like I'm more of a libertarian than I am conservative or Republican or progressive or liberal, but I'm more moderate. I'm not like no rules whatsoever, anarchy type of libertarian.
And I'd work with the Libertarian Party on that. I think it's very good because, you know, I view the Libertarian Party as almost a party of common sense, largely of common sense. And I say that about the Republican Party, too. We're a party of common sense. You want borders, but you want fairness. You want a lot of things that a lot of other people don't talk about.
So I think that was really smart. I think that was really smart of Donald Trump to do that. I think, you know, he has some good people maybe around him giving him some good advice. And, you know, I said in my last video that I made when I found out Donald Trump was found guilty, I think at this point, Donald Trump is really the only choice we have and the only choice the best choice we have to vote for, honestly. And I'm not one of those people that think, oh my God, Donald Trump is like the return of Messiah. He's going to make everything better, my life better. No, I think for the most part, politicians do not make individual lives that much better. But on a whole, I think that Donald Trump is really our guy. And especially if he sticks to the things that he said, especially the term limits for politicians. I want to react to something else, that when Donald Trump actually lays out his objective for the next coming election, or what he wants to get done when he becomes president. See how I said when, not if? You know, speaking into existence, power of the mind, or power of manifestation. Got my crystal here. I'm a woo-woo girl. No, actually, we just need to vote. I think he's the best chance we have, honestly. I think the second best, if Donald Trump does end up having to serve time, is to endorse Ron DeSantis and Vivek. But other than that, I think anybody else, Nikki Haley, puppet politician, or another 4 years of Biden, which it won't be Biden because Biden's not going to make another 4 years. It'd be some unelected official running the country. Anyway, that's it. I think that was just smart. Congrats to Tim Pool for getting Donald Trump. Tim Pool is not always my favorite person in the world, even though I agree with a lot of things he says, but he's just not my favorite person when it comes to personality. But, you know, congrats to Tim Pool for getting Donald Trump. I think it was really, really good of him. I think he hit on some good points. You guys let me know what you think about it. Like, what was the most important part Donald Trump talked about on Tim Pool for you? Were you waiting, like me, for him to admit to some of his mistakes that he made when he was president? And do you like the things that his policies and his objective when he gets back into the White House and the things he wants to get done? Let me know in the comment section below. Please like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell to get the notification when I do upload. All of that really does help with the algorithm, guys. And if you'd like to support this channel, for the love of God, you can donate. My PayPal and Cash App link is in the comment section down below, or you can super thanks. And you guys have an amazing, beautiful day. Bye.